Hello everyone, and welcome back to Conrail's Ohio and West Virginia Division HO Scale Layout. This is going to be a layout update for March of 2023. We'll go over a handful of things I've done on the layout, as well as some other projects I've been working on over in the paint booth, as well as my workbench. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as you get to see some of the things that I've been working on this last month. Alright, so the first big project I really tackled this month was doing these Pennsylvania Railroad signals here at the junction at CP Rich. I also added this dwarf signal down here as well. And these are using an Azatrax system again that uses an infrared deal. So they tend to, there's only one set of sensors which are kind of down. Let me see if I can get over. Down over in here. There's no sensors in here. So when a train comes by here, a lot of times this sensor won't pick it up till it gets there, so the signal won't change. Not ideal, obviously, but it's just kind of one of those, the best I could do without getting too carried away with putting in block detection and everything. Now, I'm still kind of working on trying to get the signal aspects to all read right and everything and get this all working right, but for right now, it's got a pretty good deal going. Let me go ahead and flip the camera around to the other end so you can see the double head signal. All right, so now we're here at the opposite end of our at CP Rich here. And as you can tell, we've got a double head signal going on over here. Now this is the same exact signal that was down the other end. I just added this NJ International head to the bottom side here and wired it in. I'm still kind of working on this a little bit, but it's pretty neat. You see if it starts flashing or doing anything funny. Yeah, maybe it won't. But I'm still kind of messing around with these a little bit. I was a bit under the weather at the beginning of the month, so I didn't get quite as much done as I'd really hoped to on the layout. So these are still a project I'm working on. Hopefully by the end of next month, all the signal aspects will be reading right and everything will be working good with them. Now, on a positive note, this month I finally got our sand towers all glued in place and installed, so those are good to go. Unfortunately here, let me see if I can pan this out decent. We still haven't gotten much done on our scenery up here in the front. I had really hoped to get all of this completed this month, but with me feeling under the weather and kind of losing the first 2 weeks of the month, I didn't get the chance to do any of the paint work or anything over here for scenery. I did just get the feeder wires for our power installed, so I won't have any issues with not having good track power going through this area. But right now, I gotta figure out how I want to go about painting, doing my base coat of paint on the track. Normally I'll airbrush it, but up here in Ohio, we've had this up and down weather lately, and there hasn't really been a good day to have the windows open and do some airbrushing over here. So I may end up having to just brush paint on the base coat just for the rails and the ties and everything, and then come back and hand paint the sides of my rails. Haven't quite decided, but hopefully by the next update video, this will all be ballasted and worked on there. I was going to make a video on scenery on it, but I just haven't. I'm already kind of pretty far along with this because I already have the base coat down over the foam. So I'm going to go ahead and hold off on that and wait until I have maybe do the far corner yet of the scenery to do a video. All right, so next up are our things that got worked on this month. We have our GP40-2 build. Now, some of you may be familiar with this from the signals video I did towards the beginning of the month to kind of show off the PRR signals, as well as this was also a how-to on weathering I did specifically with this locomotive. That video came out earlier in the month, but this was one of the projects that was wrapped up this month. I'm very, very happy with how this came out for it being a kind of dirtier late Conrail kind of look to it. I'm very, very happy with it. Let's go ahead and show off one of the other ones here. All right, so next up on our completed projects here, we have our SD60i 5649. Now this locomotive, you may have seen in some of my older videos. I originally did this, I want to say back in 2020, roughly. And when I originally built it, I only did the step lights, the ditch lights, headlights, and marker lights. I didn't do the number boards at the time, and it always kind of bothered me because I actually built the 5601 behind it. I did the number boards. So I kind of finally got around this month to going ahead, open this up, adding number boards being lit, and putting it back together. And there was another video that had these in it. I believe that was, oh gosh, that one came out a week or two ago, I want to say. That was one of the bigger projects I did this month because I had to take everything apart, unsolder everything, and go in and redo those. So very happy with that, how it turned out. Now I've got a pair of SD60Is to run around, so those are pretty cool. Next up, we'll take a quick peek at some of the freight cars that recently got wrapped up. All right, so next up here, we have some cars that I did some light weathering on here. Just a basic, just a little dirt on the trucks, keeping them clean. We have this NS Gondola. Also have this tank car here, the UTOX car. This ACFX Cargill covered hopper. And then if we get down here more towards the end on the other side of that Conrail box car, there's a GATX tank car with corn syrup on it. Again, just another light weathering one. And then that Missouri Pacific, Union Pacific repaint box car down there as well. Not everything I do is incredibly dirty and rusty and stuff. Occasionally I do some lighter weathered stuff. It's just pretty light, so you don't really see much with it. But I've been kind of doing some of those to fit in here and there, just to kind of fill out the trains a little bit and have something a little bit different. All right, so last but not least for our projects that are over here on the layout right now, I actually have these two Walters Auto Parts box cars. Now these were, I think they were Frisco cars. I got a really good deal on them a few years ago, and I'm sitting around. Tangent released a bunch of beautiful auto parts box cars, so these have kind of proven to be excess. I don't really need them, but I wanted some cars that I could run around out here that if they derail because the curves are too sharp, I don't care. And with the Tangent cars having all that fine detail, I don't really want to run them just yet, at least not on this iteration of Conrail's Ohio and West Virginia. So I went ahead and painted these cars and decaled them. I got two of them right here. These you could almost consider to be a bit of a sneak peek of what's going to be coming in the next Conrail and HO scale video, because I plan on having some auto parts running around on that one. So hopefully those will be done by the end of the month. I got a few more which I'll be showing you here in a minute when we get over to the paint booth. All right, so now we're over here at the paint booth for a little bit of a in progress kind of video here. Now this first car here, this is an Intermountain car, ConAgra, the PTLX. I'm actually doing a weathering series video on this. Should be out hopefully by the end of the month, should everything be going well. But this is just kind of an in progress, what's going on with it. This is because it was kind of sitting here right now. And we also have another car I'm doing a weathering video on here, this Union Pacific box car. The premise with these two cars was I pretty much got a really good deal on them. I couldn't pass up, and I like nice cars when I get them for cheap. I just don't like overpaying for things. So these were kind of a budget build, more or less, was what I was going for. Was, you know, if you get a deal on a car or you see something for a really good price, look up some pictures of it and see what it looked like by your modeling era, and it might be worth picking up and weathering. So let's go ahead and move on to our next things here. Let me get these out of the way. A few more projects I've been kind of hammering away at here. We have a couple of cabooses. This obviously is another Conrail caboose. This one I'd have to do the powder weathering on yet, but this is one I kind of did a little detail work on and just a little messing around. This caboose, I believe, was based out of the Canton, Ohio area. So kind of wanted to build it to go with a pair of B36-7s to be put into local service. So this will be pretty cool. Hopefully it'll be done within the next week or two. And then we also have another caboose. This one was local to the Cleveland area, the 21313, and I believe it still is. At least I used to see it quite a bit. They actually, Norfolk Southern repainted it into Conrail paint a year or two ago. So it was pretty cool getting to see that float around, but I haven't seen it much recently, but I haven't really been looking that close either. It normally hangs out in the Rockport Yard area in Cleveland, but again, just another, you know, this is a Walther's car I went ahead and detailed and doing the weathering and the paint work on, so pretty cool. And then last but not least, we have, hopefully these will fit in the camera frame here, but again, a little sneak peek at the next Conrail and HO scale. We got some auto parts box cars, which these still have to get the powder weathering done as well, but just a little, you know, in progress picture. Because these are going to be pretty cool when they're all done. These the first two are Walther's cars. And then we get into some old classics here, some Athearn Blue Box cars that I repainted that obviously I went with a very bright oxide red because I want these to look like they were just freshly repainted. We got one more left. Now this one I swapped out the grab irons and the stirrups. Didn't come out great, but didn't come out that bad either. Looks better than the molded on detail, so I'm happy with them. But let's head over to the workbench now and see what's been going on over there. All right, so last but not least on our walk around here of everything I've been doing, or move around, whatever you want to go with. This is the Conrail 8131 GP38-2. This was an undecorated Athearn Genesis model that I've been slowly chipping away at. I did all the paint work. I did some weathering on it. And this locomotive is a bit special to me because, as I've mentioned, I used to go to the local Conrail yard with my grandfather growing up, and we never really took many pictures back then. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to find pictures from that yard as I've gotten older. It's been a bit difficult, but I believe I took these back in 1999. I want to say this was probably around June, July of 99 was when I got these pictures. So it's kind of a bit important for me to build this specific unit finally. As you can see, here's the 8196, of which I've already built. But this was kind of one of the long-term projects I've been wanting to do for quite a while, was to be able to actually build the only two units I actually have a picture of being in the yard. So obviously mine's a little more dirty and a little more grimy, but it's the same spirit, and that's kind of what I was going for. This is pretty close to being done. I got to do the number boards, put the windows in, and I think I have to finish doing the light lenses on it yet. But once that's all done, this will be on the layout. Hopefully, should be in the next Conrail and HO scale video. Hopefully. As well as this locomotive behind it here. Another project from this last month. This is an Athearn Ready to Roll CSX SD40-2. So we got all of our ditch lights and little detail stuff I added there. This is going to have lighted number boards and step lights and all that fun jazz. So this is another unit that should hopefully be in the next Conrail and HO scale, having a little more CSX power visiting by. But these were kind of the big projects of the month, things I've been working on the most, and kind of why there isn't as much to show on the actual layout this month, because these have taken quite a bit of time to do, and especially like the weathering, trying to get all this coolness going on down here on the fuel tank where it's got the dirt and the rust and all that coming through. But that's going to wrap up what all I've been up to for the last month. Probably not as much as I'd like to be showing right now, but it's still better than not completing anything. I'm still happy with what all I've gotten done. I just wish I could have done more, but I suppose that's just model railroading in itself right there. Is you always wish you have more time in what you do, but you work with the time you got. So thank you for watching. Make sure you tune in next month to see some more of what I've got going on. There should be a really cool pair of CSX units going next month. They're kind of disassembled right now, but hopefully they should be done weathered and ready to go by the next layout video. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next month.